What's going on, YouTube? Chris here. I want to bring you all an update today of Bitcoin. We may get in some altcoins, but I want to put the main attention on Bitcoin here. And what we're going to do is piggyback off my last video, guys. So if you haven't watched that, go and watch that. It's talking about everything that's taking place up here. And what I was doing was studying a little bit last night, and it almost looks like we're having some type of complex head and shoulders topping pattern right now. Guys, I'm not saying that the absolute top's in for Bitcoin. We don't know that for sure yet, but we do know that we're in a short-term downtrend. You can see lower highs, and we have to the wick here lower lows. So we're going to have to see if we can hold this area of support at around 47,856. If we don't hold this area, I'm going to look down to the 200 EMA, and that's going to be at 41,961. We would definitely need a bounce off that area. It would also correlate with this major support area. So I would, if we get flushed again down into this area, I'd look to see if that's a spot that would get a nice bounce from. Because, guys, basically what we have to pay attention to is this 200 EMA, because if we actually go down below that and start trading below that, the bull market's basically over, if that starts acting as overhead resistance, okay? But right now, we're not at that point. We're in a short-term downtrend, and we're paying attention to see if we can hold this area at 47,000 as support. But one thing I want you to pay attention to, as we've gone up here, you can see obviously we've gotten weaker. But when we had this flush down, it came on heavy volume. So there was heavy selling pressure. And then when we had this push back up here, it's on lighter volume. One thing I like to do, I have the encyclopedia chart patterns, and I'll take a look at the volume and price action, and I'll take a ruler, and I'll just kind of look at it in downtrends and uptrends. So you can really pay attention to that, because it'll tell the story, guys. You need to pay attention to volume. And you can see the big push now to the downside, right? Heavier volume. And now we have to see what type of bounce we have out of here. Because if it's just one of these, say we do find support here and we move up, it could just be a lower high, and then we get flushed down to 40,000. And basically what happened to me in my trading account, many of my positions as I was in profit, I just kept going in and moving up the stop losses. So I ended up getting stopped out of many of my positions. So now what I'm doing is patiently waiting for a good spot to re-enter the market. But for me right now, this isn't a good spot in terms of looking and going, oh, I want to go long in this spot right now. You know, it's a dangerous territory that we have. If you take a look even down to the technicals, we have a 14 sell, a 9 neutral, and a 3 buy. Oscillators 2 sell, 8 neutral, 1 buy. Moving averages, you can see we're actually having that strong sell signal on the 1-day time frame. So it's definitely an area to be careful of. As I was going through the encyclopedia chart patterns, looking at a lot of these complex head and shoulders patterns, you can really see up in this range, guys, right here. Not saying this has to be it, right? We could find heavy support here, and all of a sudden we get a big move to the upside. But one thing I don't like in this space is like how Elon Musk can just move the market all around whenever he speaks and everything, both bullish and bearish. I mean, that's something, you know, you don't know where mentally he's going to be at times, and you know how people get all excited about that stuff. To me, that's why I wasn't on the Dogecoin train and all that stuff, because trading it all the time, because I don't want to go off news like that or somebody's emotion. That's not how I trade. I look specifically at price action, and right now what you can see is that we're in a short-term downtrend. We have to break up through this trend line right here. So now in terms of overhead resistance, we got areas to work back up through. So we're going to have to try to get up through $60,000 is going to be a very big overhead resistance for us, because it's also going to correlate with this downtrend. Then the next area is going to be up around that 64,832. And also, guys, if you get some from this and me telling you how it is, you know, from what I see in terms of price perspective here, if I'm looking at this and I've never bought Bitcoin before, it's up at, you know, $47,000, and I'm looking at this price action, me personally, I'm not saying I got to go get me some. And I'm sure other guys, you know, who look at the market too are looking at this structure. I mean, think if almost, I like to always do this too, if you flip this on its head almost, think about what that would look like. You'd be going, oh, this is looking bullish. But you can see this big rounded top almost that's coming in. All right, and for me, I had to take defensive positions like we talked about in the last video. And now I can sit back and I can be patient and wait for the right opportunity. So you're not at the mercy of the market. And that's the beauty of swing trading, guys. You can have long-term investments and whatnot, but in terms of swing trading, I think getting in and out of this market is one of the best things that you can do. Just one moment, guys. Because the market can be so dangerous and so volatile. So what I want to do next, and really watch these areas here, okay? About that 48,000 where we're at now, and then down around the 200 at that 40,000. You know, even if we get another push down here, guys, we could have a huge swell of buy pressure down in this range, and that's what could get us back up through here. But we have to take it one day at a time. And right now, this isn't the most beautiful price action I've ever seen on a chart. That's what I'm going to say on the one-day time frame here. Okay, and let me know what you think down low. Guys, if we get into Ethereum here, you can see up here they call them almost like Christmas trees and all this, guys. Let me get this out of the way. So you can see this big long wick at the top right there. A lot of profit taking, and then that would be into a bearish engulfing candle as well on heavy volume. I wouldn't be shocked if we went down to the 20 EMA, even around 3,334. If we have a very deep correction, we could go back to the 50. We've been there before, and that would be roughly at about $2,700 right in that range. Guys, this is an extremely volatile market. Take a look at this move we just had. And for me, that's why I was trailing stop losses up. What I like to use is this volatility stop. Do you see right here? So the volatility stop was at about 3,600, right in that range. And as price goes up, you just keep creeping it up behind it. And then if it falls like it does, you reevaluate everything. It's a much safer way to play this market. Not financial advice or anything, but that's how I like to do it. And that's why I've tried to learn trading. All right, guys. So if we take a look at the technicals here, you can also see losing strength on the RSI. So basically, once we find support, we're going to have to see what type of bounce we get off it. Because we can continue to come down here, have that light little bounce, and then another big flush to the downside. I would be a buyer for Ethereum again if we go that low, right back around this range, 2,500. And that's definitely possible. Look back here. When we were having corrections, we were below the 50. Which would put us back around 27, right in that range. Guys, you're always going to have opportunities in this market. Don't FOMO into anything. Like I told you, a major sign to me was when people were saying they were going to become millionaires off Dogecoin. When you're walking around places and you hear people talking about it, to me that was kind of a red flag of, whoa, we definitely need to cool down a little bit. And let me know if you agree with that, or when people who you haven't heard from start talking to you and everything, that's when it gets a little scary. Okay? So watch those areas for Ethereum. Say we do have some crazy turnaround right here. I'd look overhead resistance back around $4,000. We're going to have to get up through. You can see we're actually looking better than Bitcoin, though, in terms of Ethereum. The technicals, we have a 4 sell, a 10 neutral, and a 12 buy. Oscillators, 1 sell, 9 neutral, and a 1 buy. So just be more careful in these ranges, guys. You know, you have a long-term plan, and you're a longer-term investor, stick with it. You know, this definitely can come back in here, and we can get another rip to the upside, and then we target a higher high. You know, if we could get over that range at around $5,000 next time. It's the most volatile market in the world. Don't beat yourself up about it, okay? And never use too much size on positions. So what I want to do is go into Litecoin next. We're at $296. Same deal. The Christmas tree long wick up here. Look, guys, when these long wicks appear, watch out. And then you have that big drop, okay? So that's something to always look for. What we're trying to do now is find support roughly off $310. We're breaking through that right now. I would look down probably to the 50 at $271 to the downside there. Relative strengths at 48. Main thing with Litecoin, you know, it can be in a great pattern like it's been, but if Bitcoin, you know, if the gravy train's done for Bitcoin, then it is what it is. And it's probably going to pull everything down, you know. So only time's going to tell here in this market. No one has a crystal ball, and we're going to have to wait to see what the whales are going to do. If they're going to step in on big, heavy volume in some of these areas down around this range for Litecoin. I mean, guys, we could go back to 230. That could be a potential buying opportunity. You know, you got to have your stuff planned out. For Litecoin, if we get into the technicals here, a little bit more neutral. Right now, it's showing us a 9 sell, a 10 neutral, a 7 buy, oscillators 2 sell, 9 neutral, and a 0 buy. So a lot of these things are neutral. Momentum's going to be a sell. MACD level's going to be a sell for Litecoin. But guys, the more that I read, it's all about having a plan, studying, looking at major support and resistance areas, and also not being greedy. And when you see some great profits, don't be afraid to take a little bit off the table. When you're seeing super long wicks and we're in extended areas with super long wicks, that's the type of stuff I love to trade. So if you get something from this, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, keep your emotions in check. God bless each and every one of you guys. Take care.